Hey everyone, Andrew Meet Rich here. We're starting a new week, and I've got breaking developments you need to hear about right now. And let's begin where power really speaks, the United States. Donald Trump just dropped several statements that tell us exactly where this administration is heading, and trust me, you'll want to pay attention to every word. Trump made it clear that the days of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro are, quote, probably numbered. Now, here's what's interesting. When reporters pressed him directly about whether the US is planning ground military action against Venezuela, Trump shut it down cold. He said he doesn't discuss with reporters whether he's going to strike or not. That topic is closed, but come on, read between the lines here. It's beyond obvious now that the United States wants full control of the Western Hemisphere. They tried creating a unipolar world, and let's be honest, that ship has sailed. China got too strong. That moment passed. I spent years inside one of the biggest, most recognizable media companies you know. I watched editors shape stories, twist angles, bury inconvenient truths, all to serve the narrative they wanted you to believe. I couldn't do it anymore, so I left. Now I'm out here on my own, no corporate masters, no editorial board looking over my shoulder, and I'm bringing you what actually matters. And if you value that, if you want news without the filter, hit that like button right now and subscribe. Seriously, it helps more than you think. And if you're in a position to support this channel as a sponsor, I can't tell you how much that would mean. It's what keeps this independent, keeps me free to tell you the truth without worrying about who I might upset. Now back to Trump. He also commented on Chinese leader Xi Jinping, and this is revealing. Trump said you have to take Xi very seriously. This isn't someone who's going to say, oh, what a beautiful day. Look how nicely the sun is shining. How pleasant. No. According to Trump, Xi is a very serious, tough, smart leader. You can't joke around with him like you can with others. That's a direct quote, and it's quite the admission, isn't it? Respect mixed with caution. That's what I'm hearing. But wait, there's more. Trump announced that America will start conducting nuclear tests because other countries are doing them too. He specifically noted that many of these tests are hidden, conducted deep underground, where you only detect slight vibrations, and it's not always possible to determine their exact nature. So we're entering a new phase here, folks. Nuclear testing is back on the table. Think about what that means for global stability, for international agreements, for the message it sends to every nation watching. Are we heading toward a more militarized, more confrontational era? You tell me. Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear what you're thinking about all of this. But let me move on because Europe's got its own pile of problems right now, and some of them are genuinely alarming. Germany just experienced a shocking incident that has authorities on high alert. In the federal state of Saxony, a 34-year-old man escaped from a psychiatric hospital. The escapee is an Algerian citizen, and police are warning everyone that this man may be aggressive and poses a potential threat to the public. But here's what really bothers me. Police are refusing to reveal details about why he was detained in the first place, what actions led to his commitment. They're citing data protection laws as the reason for silence. My guess? They're trying to avoid inflaming tensions, so they're hiding whatever violations he committed. Very convenient, right? As of now, this dangerous individual is believed to be in the Berlin area. Berlin, one of Europe's major capitals, and they don't even know exactly where he is. Fantastic work. Really inspiring confidence there. If you're still watching, do me a favor and smash that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know what's really happening. These aren't the stories you'll see front and center on mainstream networks, but they matter. Meanwhile, life in Germany continues its downward spiral in other ways. The president of the Bundesbank, Joachim Nagel, just made a call that's stirring up quite the debate. He's urging Germans to increase their working years. And here's his exact reasoning. We must be honest with ourselves. We are an aging society. We need to work longer to preserve the prosperity achieved by post-war generations. So there it is. Work longer, work more. That's the new German dream, apparently. Nagel, along with other economists, expressed confidence in Germany's economic development, but not until next year. So hang in there, keep grinding. Prosperity is just around the corner, trust us. How many times have we heard that line? And who do you think will bear the burden of working longer? Not the people making these announcements, that's for sure. Germany's vice-chancellor just called for a complete halt to all steel imports from Russia. Now, here's something many people don't know, and they've deliberately kept quiet about it. Steel plates purchased within the European Union are exempt from sanctions. It's a product that's quite profitable for the EU and Germany specifically, and there's no ban on it. Nobody talks about this, but now Vice-Chancellor and Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil is pushing for tighter measures in this area. Germany is preparing what they're calling a steel summit at the Chancellery, scheduled for next Thursday. It'll focus on steel imports and the future of Germany's steel industry. Right before this summit, Klingbeil made this proposal, citing concerns that steelworkers will ask uncomfortable questions, like, why is the country still importing steel plates? That question would be awkward, wouldn't it? So better get ahead of it with a bold announcement. Here's another one for you. Yesterday evening, Bremen Airport suspended operations after an unknown drone appeared. According to law enforcement, air traffic was halted for almost an hour, and it remains completely unclear who was operating this drone and where it disappeared to afterward. Lots of questions, no answers as usual, but there are losses tied to the shutdown. This is becoming a pattern, folks. Drones disrupting critical infrastructure and authorities standing around looking confused. Remember to hit subscribe if you haven't already. This is the kind of coverage that gets buried or sanitized elsewhere, and I need you with me to keep pushing back against that. Now let's talk about a controversy brewing in Berlin, and this one touches on something deeply divisive. The Society for Civil Liberties is suing a high school in the German capital over a ban on organizing a prayer room for Muslim students. The school's regulations explicitly state that demonstrative performance of religious rituals is prohibited in the interests of the school itself. But according to the Society for Civil Liberties, this rule discriminates against many students, and that's unacceptable. This isn't the first case, by the way. The organization has previously challenged about 20 school rules in Berlin, including bans on prayers, requirements to speak only German in the schoolyard, and even dress codes. Many schools subsequently changed their rules after these challenges. On the other side, Berlin school principals argue that demands for prayer rooms often lead to conflicts and disrupt the peace in educational institutions. So Germany faces a complicated question here. Where's the line between freedom of religion and maintaining a neutral atmosphere in schools? The court case is just beginning, but its outcome could influence rules in many schools across the capital. I'll be watching this closely and keeping you updated. General Inspector of the Armed Forces, Carsten Breuer, just reminded everyone of his presence again. He announced the need to assess the military readiness of all young men. According to him, from a military perspective, entire age groups need to be examined. Only then will they know who's available and who they can call up in case of defense. Breuer also spoke out against a new idea of conscription using a lottery system or drawing lots. In his opinion, this would lead to recruiting conscripts randomly rather than by motivation, which would immediately reduce training effectiveness. If there aren't enough volunteers, as Breuer personally noted, the Bundeswehr should select those who are especially qualified and motivated. That's where the emphasis should be, focusing on skills like information technology knowledge, not relying on random selection. The voluntary model, he says, will likely attract more recruits provided that service is considered meaningful and attractive. But first, they need to make it attractive. We'll see what they ultimately decide. The intrigue is enormous. As you know, the first reading vote on the law regarding new conscription rules was supposed to take place on October 9th, but it's been temporarily postponed due to disputes. If you're getting value from this breakdown, show some love with a like and consider subscribing. And honestly, if you're able to become a channel sponsor, that would mean the world to me. It's how I keep this operation running without compromise. Here's something that just came out, and it's already making waves. The main European news agency reported that the CDU-CSU, Merz's union, and the Social Democratic Party have essentially agreed that all Ukrainian refugees who arrived in Germany from April 1st of this year will no longer receive citizen benefits. Instead, they'll receive benefits in accordance with the asylum seekers law, just like all other refugees. The CDU, Merz's party, is particularly toughening its rhetoric due to the growing number of Ukrainian refugees who currently have direct access to social benefits for citizens. Many are coming straight for the benefits, they emphasize. The Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs has already presented a draft law that's currently being coordinated within the federal government. So we're watching to see what happens next, and I'll definitely let you know when it's adopted. Cable thefts involving non-ferrous metals are becoming a new problem for many European countries. Yesterday in the Czech Republic, dozens of trains stopped on one of the key railway routes due to the theft of cables that are critical for controlling switches and other safety devices. Recently, in southern France, I've covered this topic before, they also cancelled and delayed many trains. This negative trend is unfortunately gaining momentum. In Poland, attitudes have shifted regarding the return of mandatory military service. Just 6 months ago, the majority of respondents supported the idea of bringing back mandatory conscription. But today, the number of supporters has noticeably decreased. Predictably, those who support returning to mandatory military service are mainly older people who strongly back the current government, especially those over 70, that's 59%, and residents of small villages. The highest level of opponents is among those under 30, 59%, and representatives of the younger generation, naturally against 58%. In other words, those who could actually be drafted if conscription returns are against it. These conversations happen every day. Regardless of the country, the trend is the same. Just like in Germany, the older generation supports service, opposes working longer, but the youth are against mandatory military service and not opposed to people working past retirement age, longer and harder. So before I wrap up, let's recap what we've covered today because there's a lot to process here. We started with Trump's clear signals about Venezuela, his respect-tinged warning about China's Xi, and his announcement that America's returning to nuclear testing. Then we moved to Germany's escaped psychiatric patient wandering around Berlin, the push for Germans to work longer years, the steel import controversy, the Bremen airport drone incident, the school prayer room battle in Berlin, military conscription debates, and benefit cuts for Ukrainian refugees. We touched on cable theft plaguing Europe's railways and Poland's shifting opinion on mandatory service. These aren't isolated incidents, folks. They're all pieces of a larger puzzle, and when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see a world that's increasingly unstable, increasingly divided, and increasingly willing to take drastic measures. The question is, where does it end? I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of this? Are we heading towards something bigger, or is this just the new normal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And listen, if this kind of real, unfiltered coverage matters to you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Share this video with people who care about what's actually happening beyond the sanitized headlines. And if you're in a position to support the channel as a sponsor, I can't express how much that helps keep this independent voice alive. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.